Today, we're talking fishing tales. And I'm going to open up those tales with the first fish I ever caught and had mounted. This is obviously a largemouth bass for you non-fisher people, okay? This was a little over an 8-pound bass. I think it's 24 and a half or 24 and 3/4 inch. And what happened was this was pre-spawn, and there was a male. He was not guarding the bed, but he was kind of, when there's no eggs in the bed, the males will not guard it as ferociously as they do when there are eggs. But anyways, there were several females nose in, and when I say that, they were probably 20 yards off the bed, just kind of like sitting there like submarines. And they were coming into the bed and checking it out and then moving away and then checking it out. And then, so what I did was I tied on a jig and pig lure and threw it in the bed and just let it sit there until the females come in to inspect. And I just moved it a little bit, and this one come and turned. I saw her turn to the side and she sucked it in. And then I set the hook on her, and it was a pretty good fight. But this was the first bass that I ever had mounted, and he did a pretty good job on it. You can see the mouth. I mean, my fist basically fits into the mouth. So I know sometimes the camera can take away, from the fish and whatnot, the size of the fish. But that's it, and that's the first one I had mounted. I do have it currently sitting on the floor, but I will fix it to where I hang it on the wall. I just haven't found a space for it, so I keep it here by the TV, and it works out pretty good for me. Now, as you can see, the second fish that I'm going to talk about here is hanging on the wall. This fish was just a little bit over 7 pounds, and I caught this fish on a spinnerbait. What happened was I had checked. I was kind of scouting the area out, and this was post-spawn. And it was about a 50-acre lake, no boat access to it. So I thought right away that there should be some good fish in it, with that lower pressure and whatnot. And so I noticed what the bass were doing. They were swimming along the bank, kind of nose in. And I think what they were looking for is snakes or frogs or anything that would come into the water or be on the edge of the bank. And this fish, I scouted it the one day. I didn't have a pole. I was on my way to work, and I saw a few of them doing that. And I thought, tomorrow I'm going to leave for work early, and I'm going to parallel the bank with a spinnerbait. And I put on a white 1/2-ounce spinnerbait with a willow blade trailer, and also with a hook trailer on the back. And I cast it as far as I could, about 10 feet offshore, and just started slow thumping it. If you've ever slow rolled a spinnerbait, you know what I'm talking about. You can feel that thump. And man, I don't think I reeled probably 10 times, and he hit it, and that's the rest of the story. Caught that on a spinnerbait. Now, let's go over to this fish. This fish here, I was not bass fishing for when I caught this fish. I was down there catching some bluegills, and some of these bluegills were 1/2 to 3/4 of a pound. Every blue moon you'd get one just under a pound. And I was down there with an ultralight rod with bread balls and 6-pound test, and I was just getting a bucket full of bluegills. I was going to fillet them up. We were going to have fish fry that night. Well, this guy here, or I should say girl, and this also, by the way, was post-spawn, so no eggs. This bass here was caught in July, well after the spawn. And but this fish, so on one of the bluegills that I caught, it was a little bit deeper, and I was using bread balls, but the bread ball had sank, and there was just a school of bluegills under the dock. And I'm reeling in the one bluegill, and this bass come out from underneath the dock. I didn't know it was there, but just sensed all the commotion and came from wherever it was over to see what was going on. And it come out and absolutely laced my bluegill. Now, I waited about 5 minutes. I started reeling the fish in, and this bass, it spit it out. When it spit it out, the bluegill was unrecognizable. It was completely scaled and everything. It was right down literally to the meat, the fillets that I would want to eat. And I went to reel it back in, the bluegill, call it a scaled out bluegill, across the top of the water, and this bass right here came and whap, hit it again. And that time I waited about 45 minutes. And started, a lot of people were coming down. I caught this fish off a dock. And people were coming down, oh, you having any luck? I'm like, well, yeah, actually, I am having luck. I got one on right now. What do you mean you got one on? I'm like, I got like a 10-pound bass on right now. And so I waited, and all the spectators were around. And I says, well, I got 6-pound test on. So I had the drag set just about as loose as you could and still keep tension on the line. And fight number 2. And I fought this fish, I'm going to tell you, 5 to 10 minutes. And it finally succumbed to the fight and swam under the dock. Now, there was no way I was lifting this fish up with 6-pound test or the rod that I was using at the time. And so I had to hold my pole in one hand. I reached under the dock. I felt the fish was there. I grabbed it by the mouth and pulled it up, and the crowd was pretty awestruck. And again, you can see, my fist fits pretty much right in its mouth. So it was a good day, a memorable day, that's for sure. And for the record, I'm not the type of guy that would keep a fish like this now. And I will say also that particular year and the year after, I'm going to tell you, I caught close to 100 fish of that caliber and released them, and a few of this caliber and released them. So I've caught a lot of big bass since these, and have released them. So, I got what I wanted on the wall, in my man cave, decorations and all. But those are 3 of my best bass, that are at least mounted anyway. And I am going to do a lot of fishing videos this year. I feel like I missed out, but I also feel like your first year on YouTube, leave a little room for improvement or addition or tweaks. And hopefully that's what I did. So let me show you a picture of 2 really nice perch that I caught a couple of years ago. I think it's pretty fitting since we just had the perch tournament sponsored by Cole Outdoors. Now, with the recent perch tournament, I thought I'd show you a picture of a couple of really nice perch that I caught a couple of years ago. You can see below the picture, 2-pound, 6-ounce perch. The one in my right hand was absolutely a toad. I mean, it thought it was a largemouth bass, but really good fish. And you want to talk about some serious fillets, man. But that was the best perch I've ever caught to date. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.